In the first fight, we have Vanessa Demopoulos versus Talita Alencar. Demopoulos is 36 years old, 11-6, 3-2 in her last 5 fights, coming off a submission loss 6 months ago. Demopoulos lands 3.87 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 5.53, and she has a 29% finish rate. Alencar is 34 years old, 5-1-1, 3-1-1 in her last 5 fights, coming off a decision loss 7 months ago. Alencar lands 2.49 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 4.8. She has a 43% finish rate. Both ladies are usually undersized in their fights. Now both will be fighting someone virtually their same size. Either lady's a striker. Both want to get the fight to the ground as soon as possible, as this is where they're both most comfortable. Demopoulos uses a bit more output than Alencar, but also gets hit a bit more, so take that with a grain of salt. I think they're going to be mirror images of each other on the feet. Whoever gets the takedown, maintains top control, wins the fight, in my opinion. Alencar's cardio did come into question in her last 2 fights, as she did slow down in the second and third rounds. I'm going to go with Vanessa Demopoulos. She's coming off a loss where she protested. I think she's going to be looking to right that wrong. What's up, everybody? Crossover MMA back in here for another video. Make sure to like the video and subscribe for more content. In the next fight, we have Victor Henry versus Pedro Falcao. Henry's 37 years old, 24-7, 2-2-1, 3-2 in his last 5 fights, coming off a submission loss 4 months ago. Henry lands 7.66 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 5.48, has a 48% finish rate. Falcao's 32 years old, 16-4, 4-1 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision loss 11 months ago. Falcao lands 2.9 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 2.63, has a 55% finish rate. Pedro Falcao's 0-1 in the UFC. He's also a little bit low output, but he does a good job with his grappling. He averages 2 takedowns per 15 minutes. Victor Henry is very well-rounded, has skills everywhere the fight goes. I think Pedro will need to use his grappling and control time. I see Victor Henry being the better striker and having more volume on the feet. I'm going to go with the more well-rounded fighter in Victor Henry. I think he gets the job done and keeping the fight on the feet. He does have 84% takedown defense. In the next fight, we have Loma Lookboonmee versus Istela Nunes. Lookboonmee is 29 years old, 9-3, 4-1 in their last 5 fights, coming off a decision win 1 year ago. Lookboonmee lands 4.1 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 2.48. She has a 17% finish rate. Nunes is 32 years old, 6-5, 1-4 in their last 5 fights, coming off a TKO loss a year and a half ago. Nunes lands 5.02 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 4.84. She has an 18% finish rate. Loma Lookboonmee is a Muay Thai striker. She has really good teeth to the body and low kicks. Nunes will enjoy a 4-inch reach advantage. Nunes is also a little bit higher output than Loma. She's on a 4-fight skid, and that's, just not a good look. Nunes also has gotten finished in 4 of her 11 fights. Give me Loma Lookboonmee to get it done here. In the next fight, we have Diana Belbita versus Dione Barbosa. Belbita is 28 years old, 15-9, 2-3 in her last 5 fights, coming off a submission loss 1 year ago. Belbita lands 6.54 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 6.55. She has a 42% finish rate. Barbosa is 32 years old, 7-3, 4-1 in her last 5 fights, coming off a decision loss 8 months ago. Barbosa lands 1.85 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 2.49, and she has a 30% finish rate. Belbita's on a 2-fight skid. She's only 2-5 in the UFC. I will say she does get hit a lot. Definitely reckless, and I think the win-loss record shows that. Barbosa is more measured and has fought tougher competition, in my opinion. She also has a win over Karine Silva. I'm going to go with Dione Barbosa. I think she gets back on the right track. In the next fight, we have Rhys McKee versus Daniel Frunza. McKee is 29 years old, 13-6-1, 3-2 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision loss 1 year ago. McKee lands 4.8 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 7.85, is a 65% finish rate. Frunza's 30 years old, 9-2, 5-0 in his last 5 fights, coming off a TKO win 6 months ago. Frunza lands 4.94 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 5.53, and he has a 73% finish rate. Rhys McKee is a striker. He's on his 2nd stint in the UFC. He is 0-4 in the UFC. He'll also enjoy a 5-inch reach advantage in this fight. McKee's defense is his Achilles heel. He gets hit entirely too much. Frunza's a striker with legit power in his hands. 8 of his 9 wins are by KO. The reach advantage would usually be a deterrent for me, but McKee doesn't fight long, in my opinion. I think McKee will have some success, but eventually he'll get caught with a big shot, and it'll just change the trajectory of the fight. Give me Daniel Frunza to get it done. In the next fight, we have Davey Grant versus Daniel Santos. Davey Grant's 39 years old, 16-7, 3-2 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision win 3 months ago. Grant lands 5.25 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.89, and he has a 57% finish rate. Santos is 30 years old, 12-2, 4-1 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision win 2 years ago. Santos lands 4.26 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 5.12, and he has a 57% finish rate. For starters, this is going to be a really fun fight. Davey Grant is always in good fights, and Daniel Santos is going to march forward with that Muay Thai style of his. I think Davey Grant's movement and footwork will give Santos trouble early. On the flip side, I think Santos' straight shots will keep him in the fight, with Davey Grant preferring to use looping punches most times. The age of Davey Grant is something that can't be ignored, as Father Time is undefeated. I think this is going to be a tit-for-tat, back-and-forth firefight. I'm going to go with the vet Davey Grant to get it done. I like his experience and his movement to be the difference in this fight. In the next fight, we have Osborne versus Gurule. Osborne is 33 years old, 12-8, 1-4 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision loss 6 months ago. Osborne lands 3.26 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 4.01, is a 45% finish rate. Gurule is 31 years old, 10-0, coming off a decision win 5 months ago. Gurule lands 7 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 4.27, and he has a 60% finish rate. Osborne's on a 3-fight skid. He's fought some quality competition. Gurule will be making his UFC debut off of Dana White's Contender Series. He's a striker with some legit power for flyweight. Osborne will enjoy a massive 9-inch reach advantage. Gurule's going to have to walk through some fire to get inside on Osborne. I think Osborne is a very live dog here simply because of the reach advantage. In Osborne's last 6 losses, though, he has been finished in 5 of them. This is a tough one as Osborne's fighting to stay in the UFC, in my opinion. Gurule's hungry and the new guy in the UFC. I'm going to go with Gurule to get it done, but he may have to finish Osborne to get the job done. It's a very tricky fight. In the next fight, we have Torrez Finney versus Robert Valentin. Finney's 26 years old, 10-0, coming off a TKO win 5 months ago. Finney lands 2.6 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 1.86, is an 80% finish rate. Valentin is 30 years old, 11-4, 4-1 in his last 5 fights, coming off a TKO loss 7 months ago. Valentin lands 0.15 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 6.16, is a 67% finish rate. Finney will be making his UFC debut after 3 wins on Dana White's Contender Series. Finney's just this little powerhouse that always gives up height and reach in his fights. This will be Valentin's 2nd fight in the UFC off of The Ultimate Fighter. Finney will have to eat some shots to deliver some shots. Valentin can be taken down and controlled, and this is, in my opinion, would be the path of victory for Finney. Valentin will need to keep this fight on the feet, stay on his feet, and just keep this fight at range. I think Finney's going to get this fight to the ground, use some ground and pound, and control time. Give me Torrez Finney in his UFC debut. In the next fight, we have Brad Tavares versus Gerald Meerschaert. Tavares is 37 years old, 20-11, 1-4 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision loss 5 months ago. Tavares lands 3.43 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.31, is a 23% finish rate, and is a -250 favorite. Meerschaert is 37 years old, 37-18, 2-3 in his last 5 fights, coming off a submission loss 4 months ago. Meerschaert lands 3.1 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.45, is a 64% finish rate, and is a +195 underdog. Brad Tavares is a striker that's a decision merchant. Meerschaert's a grappler that needs to get the fight to the ground. Tavares does have 81% takedown defense, and this will be critical in this fight. Meerschaert will be the slower fighter on the feet and will need to get this fight to the ground as soon as possible. Meerschaert does only land 35% of his takedown. On the flip side, Tavares hasn't won a fight since 2023. This is a tough one as I see a path of victory for both guys, with Meerschaert getting this fight to the ground and Tavares just keeping it on the feet. But I'm going to go with Brad Tavares to get it done. I'm not very confident in this pick at all. In the next fight, we have Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Martin Buday. Nzechukwu's 32 years old, 14-5, 3-2 in his last 5 fights, coming off a TKO win 3 months ago. Nzechukwu lands 5.37 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 4.89, has a 58% finish rate, and is a minus 298 favorite. Buday is 33 years old, 14-2, 4-1 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision win 9 months ago. Buday lands 4.84 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 5.54, has a 56% finish rate, and is a plus 230 underdog. This would be Kennedy's 3rd fight up at heavyweight. He won his first 2 fights by first round TKO. Buday is coming off a win against Andrei Arlovsky. Kennedy will enjoy a 6-inch reach advantage, and I also think he'll be the faster guy in this fight. Buday's cardio hasn't looked great as well, and that's definitely something to think about. These two do have 2 common opponents. Buday won both of them by decision, and Kennedy won both of his by finish. I know I'm using some MMA math there, but give me Kennedy and Nzechukwu to get it done. He's looked pretty good since moving up to heavyweight. In the next fight, give me Cortavious Romious versus Chang Ho Lee. Romious is 31 years old, 9-3, 3-2 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision loss 4 months ago. Romious lands 2.1 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.02. He has a 58% finish rate and is a plus 135 underdog. Lee is 30 years old, 10-1, 4-1 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision win 9 months ago. Lee lands 4.9 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 2.65, is a 55% finish rate, and is a minus 165 favorite. Cortavious is still looking for his first win in the UFC after losing his debut. This will also be Lee's 2nd fight in the UFC after winning the Road to UFC tournament. Lee's a grappler that lands over 3 takedowns per 15 minutes. I think this fight will be very interesting because Romious will make it tough for Lee to get the takedowns, as he does have a 70% takedown defense. On the feet, I think Romious will be able to land some good shots. I think at some point, though, Lee will get this fight to the ground and rack up some control time and some ground and pound. I'm going to go with Chang Ho Lee here to get it done. In the next fight, we have Pat Sabatini versus Joanderson Brito. Sabatini's 34 years old, 19-5, 3-2 in his last 5 fights, coming off a submission win 5 months ago. Sabatini lands 1.94 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 1.47, is a 58% finish rate, and is a plus 195 underdog. Brito is 30 years old, 17, 4-1, 4-1 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision loss 6 months ago. Brito lands 3.02 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 2.7. He has a 68% finish rate and is a minus 250 favorite. Pat Sabatini is a grappler that wants to fight on the ground as soon as possible. He flows very well on the ground and will get himself into advantageous position and look for the submission. He's a very real submission threat with 12 submission wins on his resume. Joanderson Brito is a striker with solid power in his hands and also has decent submissions up his sleeve as well. Brito also has solid takedown defense at 73%. I think Brito's going to be able to keep this fight on the feet enough. And I think Sabatini is just a fish out of water on the feet, as he just doesn't want to be on the feet too long at all. I see Brito stuffing the takedowns and keeping Sabatini at range, just getting it done on the feet. In the main event, we have Josh Emmett versus Lerone Murphy. Emmett's 40 years old, 19-4, 3-2 in his last 5 fights, coming off a KO win 1 year ago. Emmett lands 4.04 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 4.61, is a 39% finish rate, and is a plus 205 underdog. Murphy's 33 years old, 15-0-1, 5-0 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision win 5 months ago. Murphy lands 4.8 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 2.67, he has a 44% finish rate, and is a minus 265 favorite. Josh Emmett is a vet in the UFC. He's a wrestler turned into a striker. He's got legit one-punch knockout power, and it is game-changing. Lerone Murphy is a very well-rounded striker, mixes punches and kicks very well, also has solid grappling, and is very physically strong in the clinch. I think Murphy's a bit more technical. Emmett loves his overhand right and his big left hook. Emmett's striking accuracy is only 38% with those big punches, so they don't land too often. Murphy's much more calculated and lands with much more volume than Emmett. Murphy will have to be careful and avoid those big shots because, like I said, they are game-changing when Emmett lands them. I can see Murphy mixing in some wrestling as well just to keep Josh Emmett guessing. I'm going to go with the more well-rounded fighter, and that's Lerone Murphy. And Father Time's undefeated and Josh Emmett's 40 years old. If you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Questions, comments, thoughts, and your feedback are always welcome. And as always, until next time.